What is a lead magnet and why does your website need one? Hey, I'm Sam Dunning, co owner over at webchoiceuk.com and host of the Top 100 Marketing Podcast, Business Growth Show. All right, so research tells us that even the very best website, even if it's got the design that's perfected for your ideal customer and it's been optimized to the hills, it's not going to convert much more than 10% of the traffic that you get into either inbound leads or customers. So with that in mind, many of us are spending a lot of money, a lot of our time. They're doing in-person events. Maybe we're doing things on social media. We're doing paid ads. Maybe we're doing SEO. Maybe we're doing email to drive all these people to our site. We want as many of them to convert into inbound opportunities for our sales team as possible, right? That's where lead magnets come in. So a lead magnet is basically a free item in exchange for contact details, typically an email address. What is a lead magnet? What does one look like? Well, it could be a video guide. So maybe you've got some kind of video explainer series where you go through kind of the benefits of your product or the problems it solves. And maybe you've got practical tips, just explaining how people can get the best use out of your product and basically give them value before they decide to buy. Maybe you've got a how-to guide. So perhaps in our case, we might say how to design a website that converts ideal clients, or how to set up an SEO strategy from scratch. Or maybe you're an accountancy company and you're making guides on how to set up a spreadsheet, or how to manage your accounts for the year with ease. Or how to integrate QuickBooks into your site. So these kind of how-to guides, some of the best ideas, some of the best ways to create how-to guides is utilize what there is already demand for. So if customers are asking you questions on sales calls, on sales emails quite regularly, then make a list of these, chuck them in a how-to guide, because you know that people will probably need the content that you're going to put together. Could be a best practice guide. So best ways to tackle X, Y, Z, or 5 top tips when it comes to producing Y, or 20 things to consider before you do X. Or if you're in e-commerce, it could be the 5 top trends of this fashion outfit. So that's another option there. Or it could be a podcast series, which is something we do with Business Growth Show. We interview business leaders each and every week, and we do solo episodes just like this one. We don't gate that, but that is content you could gate by asking people to put an email address before you give them the big juicy bit of content. Just make sure whatever you're doing, it's highly helpful, it's actionable, it's relevant, it's actually a useful piece of content. People don't want junk. So make sure you're putting something together that you know is actually been asked for by customers before, and you're making it as helpful to them as possible. That's the key. So, yeah, like I said, all you're really asking for is their name, email. Some people just ask for email on their lead magnets, but if you can get their name, that helps a little bit more in terms of what we're going to talk about in a sec. Are these red hot leads? Well, not typically, because they've just downloaded a piece of content. They've given you their email, possibly their name and email. However, with that said, if you nurture these leads over time, that could be with some kind of email sequence. So once someone signs up, once they give you their content, give you their email rather, you can nurture them via some kind of email sequence. So that could be over time, you're feeding them useful tips. So every few days, you send them a useful email, something relevant to what they downloaded. Maybe it's 5 tips each day. Maybe it's an extra video. Maybe it's an extra podcast. Maybe it's an infographic. Maybe it's an additional guide, a YouTube series. So over time, you're building trust. You're sending them something that's helping them, or you're nurturing them over social. So especially in the B2B space, if you've got these leads coming in, you might be connecting them on LinkedIn, you might be commenting on their posts, you might be sending them useful links, and basically building up rapport and nurturing these prospects over time until it comes to a stage where you've built enough trust, you've built enough rapport that you can ask them to take the next step in your sales process. And that might be scheduling a call. That might be, if you offer a lower value item, ask them to buy. That might be booking a demo, whatever that next stage in your sales process. Meaning, over time, you're gaining more prospects, you're getting more customers in your pipeline, getting more deals and sales over the line. Because like we said at the start, even the best websites are not really converting much more than 10% of their traffic. So if you've got a lead magnet, it just gives people the option, rather than having to fill out a detailed form, rather than doing a detailed demo request where you're usually asking for several pieces of information, they can just get a juicy guide, a juicy how-to video series, whatever it may be, in exchange for a very small amount of info. And that's adding more leads into your sales pipeline. And there we have it. That is my short and sweet summary of a lead magnet and how it can help your website to capture more sales opportunities. As always, if you enjoyed it, do hit subscribe. And with that said, we shall catch you on the next episode.